How many people do you anticipate that are going to vote in the general election this year?
I'm going to kick this to you, Jonathan.
I'm not going to hold you accountable for it because it's an estimate, but
I hate to prognosticate, but we can expect that over 6 million people will vote in the November election.
All right, 6 million people voting
In Pennsylvania, of
in
course.
Pennsylvania. So statistically significant is usually around 5% or less. So depending on the model you run, you can actually be discounting votes within that equation. So if you're expecting 6 million votes, 5% aren't voting. If you run a model based on 5%, which is usually the statistical significant value, you're basically saying 300,000 votes, if they're not counted, are okay. So I would say your model better be set at 0, right?
Are you talking about the post-election audit?
Correct.
So right now, all that's required in Pennsylvania is 2%. 2% or 2,000 votes, whichever is less in the county.
Okay.
So just so that we're clear, that's the only thing at this point that's required that's equivalent to an audit. So on election day, 100% of the votes are going to be counted, period. And then, of course, absentees and overseas and all that over the following week, they come in. Obviously, the overseas voters have a longer process. 100% of the votes are going to be counted. Under current law, there's this 2% requirement. What we're exploring are additional ways to confirm, so mathematical, statistically significant ways. This is not taking away from anything that currently exists. And in addition, I think you know that under Pennsylvania law, if the results of a statewide election are under 0.5%, is that correct? There's an automatic statewide, is that right?
0.5%. Yes.
Yeah, 0.5%. There's an automatic statewide full recount. So none of that is going away. We're actually adding a level to increase. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Well, I just want to be very, very clear, and I want you to say this. We will ensure every vote is counted.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Because you worried me when you said statistically significant, because that's usually around 5%. So I'm not like, if we're kind of close at 5%, we're good with this election, right? So we're making sure every vote, and post audit, we're verifying that, correct?
Correct. The Deputy Secretary Marks would like to add something as well, if that's okay.
I just want to I want to make sure there's no confusion about what risk limiting post election audits do. The 2% the Secretary is talking about, which is current law, are typically come in batches. So the county will select 2% of its precincts, or they'll select 2% of the ballots. What a risk limiting audit does is spreads out. It selects ballots from all across the county. So you're getting a sample that reflects the entire universe of votes in the county as opposed to just one small percentage. And that's why you can say with a higher degree of certainty that audit confirms the results of election as opposed to just pulling 2% of the ballots. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, yes.
But most important to your question, 100% of the ballots are counted, and
All right.
that's what's
I want to make sure
reflected.
that's our bar,
That
not
is-
significantly,
I cannot-
statistically significant,
yeah,
because
I cannot say that more strongly. 100% of the votes will be counted.
thank you. Madam Secretary and Deputy Secretary, we appreciate the work you did with the Oversight Committee
Thank you.
moving forward, so thank you.
Thank you, Representative.